Well, welcome everybody. Andy Lindahl, Scott Hastings, along with you tonight. Pleased to have you along on this lovely summer evening. I hope you're all enjoying it. We're watching a little of the NBA draft right now. Um, Big week in basketball here, huh, Scotty? Big week in basketball. So,
Well, there in the Barclays Center, it's a big week for about 28 teams, 29. We just got to watch. We sat there and watched Nick Clifford get drafted. Was going to be in Oklahoma City, but they made a trade with Sacramento, so he'll be a Sacramento King next year.
yes, congratulations to Nick Clifford. Now, I thought it was interesting. I looked at a mock draft on CBS, which is getting a lot of these picks right. I got to give credit to CBS Sports. Was looking at it today. They actually had Nick Clifford going 25 to Orlando. Do you know why that would have been significant in Denver if he would have gone number 25 to Orlando?
Denver's pick.
It was Denver's pick in the Aaron Gordon trade. I think that would have finished off the Aaron Gordon trade, but instead, Nick Clifford is going to be, as you said, a member of the Portland or of the Sacramento Kings. And so there you go. But congratulations to Nick Clifford, a guy that I loved. Nate and I had him on during the tournament, loved talking to him. So congrats to Nick Clifford. That's pretty neat. One of the few guys that could say he played for both CU and CSU. Of course, was one of the great stories of the tournament. We're going to talk Nuggets front office, but you said you've been watching this first round. I told you, Nate informed me of this. I didn't know it, but the NBA has changed up their modeling. They're going a little more like the NFL when it comes to the draft. Second round will be tomorrow, just the first round tonight. So this will wrap up here in what, about 5 picks or so. What have you thought so far? Has there been any young player where you go, man, he would have looked good as a Nugget?
Yeah. I mean, it's been all of them. I would say the one kid from Asia, China, I think he was from. It's kind of been the only surprise, really. Um, but no, yeah, there's a lot of my. It's really funny. Couple things. 2 days of draft. No one watched the second round anyway. But I will say, at least by putting them on a Wednesday and Thursday, because it's like the NFL. The NFL kills it on that first day, and then comes Saturday and Sunday. Or Friday? Do they do
Friday,
Thursday?
Saturday. Friday, there's still some juice for it simply because it's the second and third round, but by Saturday, it's everybody that could make Thursday.
Yeah. But also Friday, by having a night on Friday, a lot of people going out and doing whatever on a Friday.
Yeah, there's other things to do. There's no doubt about it, right?
So our first comment, Scott's still alive. The warden must have only kneecapped him after I called you.
It's our guy Flax.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
We're right in the middle of the show, and the warden, who was doing some stuff today, probably didn't look at the clock, so she calls me, and I picked the phone up live on there and said, "I'm on the air, dummy," and hung up on her or something like that. And then then you do what big guys do when the woman's not around. You say, "Hey, I wear the pants of my family," and then I ended out with, "She's gonna kill me when I get home."
You wear the pants, but they're the tearaway pants like the NBA guys wear, where they're easily taken and they're no longer your pants. So
yeah, someone said you don't wear the pants in your house. You wear the pants when you're around your house.
yeah, that's pretty good. Well, it doesn't look like the Nuggets are going to do anything. I did want to ask you because we were doing our crosstalk thing. I thought it was interesting because you asked me and Nate on the show today when we did our crosstalk if I'd bet my last $5 on the Nuggets moving in, and I said no, I don't think so, and Nate did too. But I felt like I wanted to ask. Did you think they might? Did you get, because again, Brooklyn still has 2 more dang picks near the end of this thing.
Yeah, no, here's what I thought. I thought it was like usual, and we were going to get the first, second round all in one day. So I didn't think they'd move up into the first round, which you guys are telling me that's all just today. But I just have a suspicion that there might be some movement tomorrow.
Okay.
So I was thinking more of a second round than a first. I don't know how Brooklyn does it, taking, they got 5 picks in the first round. They just talked to Bob Myers, said, I had 5 picks in the draft once, and it was the basis of their first championship team. I think Draymond Green was the 35th pick, but he said, I had 2 firsts and 3 seconds. Um, so 5 picks in first round. I don't know how, unless Brooklyn's just going to stink again next year and just go all young and play all young again. I don't know, because they are young anyway. It seems like to me.
Um,
Here's the Orlando pick right here. Now you're saying this one should have been Denver if you didn't have Aaron Gordon, and you're a little bit ahead of me because I put
yeah,
pause. Ago.
it's Jace Richardson, the guard from Michigan State, is who they took. Brooklyn's on the clock on my TV. So Jace Richardson, anyway, is the one that finishes off the Aaron Gordon trade, if you want to say that. But
that's Jason Richardson's son, huh? I didn't realize that.
let me ask you this. And there's all sorts of trade. Number 29 is now, it shows Phoenix, but it's going to be Charlotte. Dude, I hate that the NBA just won't freaking change logos, but I've ran it on that many years. We don't need to talk about it. Let me ask you this question, Scotty, and I still think the answer is no, but I'm curious your thoughts. Would the Nuggets have been better off with Reggie Jackson and all their second rounders than getting Russell Westbrook now that you know how it all turns out? I still lean no because Russ still had plenty of good moments that I wouldn't shoo away.
Here's why no, and just because what you said, Russ gave. Listen, they played Reggie Jackson too much last year. In the second half of the season, he was worn out. They wore his legs out. If you go back to the beginning of the year, remember Jamal Murray missed 13 or 14 games in the first half of the season again. And so, how many games did Russ start? I mean, he started quite a few there for a while. It probably would have been the same thing. So you got a little bit more. You tried to do something to supplement your backup point guard that would help you win now. Everything they're doing now, here's the scary thing, and you've kind of traded your way into this, if you will. The scary thing is you're in the window to win now because you got Joker and Jamal, and they're still fairly young, as far as careers go. I mean, your window's probably open another 4 or 5 years. But you're either not drafting or you're drafting so low, you're not making anything. Nothing's really come by. I mean, the last draft pick that's really done anything for you, I guess you could say Michael Porter Jr. And when you drafted him,
no, Christian Brown.
Well, Christian Brown. But listen, Christian Brown ain't a
core player. He's not a build for the future.
He's a type of player everybody needs, but he's not going to make all-star teams, right? He's going to have a 14-year career and make really good money, but he's never going to make max. I don't think, unless something really changes over the summer for him. He's not a max guy, as our good friend, the late great Irv Brown would always say. He's kind of stiff in the hips, and the great players you don't see that much of, but he's a good player. He's a really good player, but special. Listen, Murray's a special player. Porter at times has shown he's a special player. Joker, and that was the 41st pick, a special player. And Christian's really good. But what other draft pick have they had in the last 4 years that's really hit? You can say Peyton Watson. He's shown signs. Julian Strawther's shown signs, but they haven't hit. If both of those guys would have hit by now, you'd have beat Oklahoma City.
Yeah, if they'd have hit, Michael, Booth and Malone still have their jobs. Let's be honest. No, I'm with you. All right, let me get to Flax's question. What do you think of any rumored undrafted guys like Hunter Dickinson from Kansas coming to the Nuggets as a backup big?
I don't know. Michigan's got a big guy that D-Mac's in love with. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I probably paid the least amount of attention to this draft as any draft in the last few years. Because they don't have any picks at all, not even in the second round, and because of the NBA schedule, I don't watch a lot of college basketball until the tournament starts.
Right.
You know, so if you're not in the tournament, I mean, Rutgers had two guys in the top 5 picks, and they were a sub 500 team this year. Well, did you see a lot of Rutgers basketball?
No. I know. I'm with you.
So I don't know. I know. I mean, it's kind of fun now. I've got guys and peers of mine that are having kids that are now in the league. Derek Harper's son got drafted. He looks Dylan Harper, I think his name is, and he's going to the Spurs. He looks like a player, and I always liked his dad. I always thought his dad was a nice player. I think he won 5 NBA championships, 4 with Chicago, I think, and 1 with LA. So I always thought he was a good player. So, but I played against him, and now all of a sudden he's got a kid that is a lottery pick.
Marie wants to know, don't they have a pick that got hurt last year? Yeah, it's Deron Holmes, Marie, but we don't know who he's going to be. Unfortunately, we don't know what he's going to be. I mean, look, his one game of summer league was a hell of a lot of fun. But
but he got hurt in the second quarter. So
and
you see,
dude, Tyson Hunter's been the star. Tyson Hunter's been the star of or Hunter Tyson. I always get it wrong. Hunter Tyson. Hunter Tyson's been the star of the summer league the last couple of years. Guy can't get on the floor for any extended minutes when it actually matters. The summer league is like NFL preseason football. I don't know what to do with it anymore.
Here's what you learn about summer league. If they can't play at all in summer league, you need to worry. If they're great in summer league, then good, they should be, because we drafted you, and here we go. But and there have been, there's been some guys that made all-star teams that had great summer leagues also and developed a great player, but summer league don't mean anything.
No, I'm with you. I just listen. I hope Deron Holmes. I really hope he's something they can use, because they need it, man. They need it. I did ask you when we talk about. Boy, we got a kid that's near the verge of tears here. Thought he was going to go earlier. That's kind of sad. Actually sitting in the building.
I was that guy in my draft.
Do you know who that is? I don't know who they are by their faces.
No, you're way ahead of me, remember?
I know, but tall white kid. He's been there for a minute. Yeah, he's actually breaking down and crying a little bit now. This is, I hate to see it, man. It's a tough thing to see. He's just sitting at his table. Thought he'd clearly be called. I'm assuming, I don't know who this is. I don't know. They won't put the name up. They just keep flashing who their best guys are. So, anyway. Danny Wolf, the Michigan forward. That's who they're showing right now. He apparently thought he was going much, much earlier. Now he's got all these guys showing him phones. So, whatever. What was your draft experience like? Where did you sit? Where did you watch it from?
Well, back then they always had it at the Felt Forum in Madison Square Garden, and they when I played, they only had 23 teams when I got drafted. So now they got 30, so there's 7 more, and they flew like 16 of us in, 15 or 16, and I'm sitting there, and 1, 2, 3, 21, 22, 23 go by, and I ain't been selected. So I'm like, man, we got to get out of here. And I'm about to get up and get out, because I'm like, what's going on here? And finally somebody says, hey, don't go anywhere. The Knicks just drafted you. So I think I was the only guy that was still in the building that ended up becoming a second-round pick. I was 29th. And
how many picks that year?
23.
Okay. Well, it was crazy because I didn't know Alex English was a second-round pick. So we went and looked it up, and Alex English was the 23rd pick, but there are only 22 teams. So he was the first pick. It's 76 of the Bucks in the second round.
Well, did Alex play in the ABA? Did he get a year?
See, that's what we were asking. I don't know. It's hard for me. Nate and I always tell people 85 is like the cutoff of where our memories begin sometimes. So I don't try to rank or pretend to be an expert on some of this stuff because I don't remember watching a lot of it, you know? And really, to be honest with you, Scotty, the first Nuggets teams that truly stuck with me. Now, I remember some of Alex English and Fat Lever and Wayne Cooper and Calvin Nat, Mike Evans, and all those guys. But the first time I really had to watch every Nuggets that game that came on, I thought Orlando Woolridge was fun in the Paul Westhead year because he was the first Nugget that could thunder dunk. And then I liked your teams. I know he wasn't any good. I know.
No,
But
he
to
was
me,
really good. He just
yeah.
he had a little problem.
But the Dikembe teams, Dikembe, Mark Macon, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. By the way, Danny Wolf just went to Brooklyn at 27, so it's over. The kid that was crying. But those, the Mutombo, LaFonso Ellis, those were the teams. Your teams are the ones that really got me watching Nuggets basketball, if I'm being honest. Our girl.
By the way, I got traded to Denver for Orlando Woolridge.
Yeah, I think I'd say it worked out all right. So, Damn Care Bear there wants to know, do you think they'll bring back Trey, PJ, or Spencer? Trey being Trey Lyles. PJ is PJ Turner.
The big dude from Clemson. I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Spencer, they like a lot.
Okay.
Kid from Stanford. He played at Stanford.
Oh, right. Spencer. He was the kid that played this year, right?
Yeah.
He showed some toughness. He showed some grit out there.
Yeah, he is. And remember when they were outmanned when they went into Golden State late in the year and beat Golden State in Golden State, he had a monster game. I think he had 8 or 9 points. And I talked to one of the scouts about him. I said, man, I like him. He plays hard. He can be your Draymond Green type small ball big, in there. And the guy said, yeah. They said the coaches really like him. It's just that, in the early part of his career, he's had some being able to stay healthy problems. And so that's the thing with Spencer Jones. Can he stay healthy or not? Danny Wolf's a heck of a player, too. I watched him. I have to be honest, I probably watched him as much as anybody because I don't know why. It seemed like Michigan was always on the TV.
It's a brand. It's a college brand.
Yeah.
All right. So Chris wants to know which player ends up with the best career in this draft. Cooper Flagg's got to be Cooper Flagg's not your typical number one pick, wouldn't you say? I mean, it's not like Dallas is devoid of talent. They made a stupid move at the end, and then a lot of us kind of wonder oh, really? They found a way to get the first pick, huh?
I talked about this today, and so I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to throw this out here. I watched a podcast, and somebody brought this up. And he said, I'm going to make a bold statement. And as he said this statement, I find myself going, He said, what are we going to say? And listen, he got the benefit of getting Cooper Flagg in the draft. But the guy said basically, he goes, I have a feeling in 5 or 10 years, we're going to look back and say, Nico Harrison made a great move, and he was right.
Really?
Yeah.
How so? Did he explain it further? Because Luka won't bring him a championship, or Luka won't stay?
Well, I don't think Luka will win a championship. I don't think he's shown the mentality to win a championship. I don't know if the Lakers, because of the salary cap, and as long as LeBron wants to keep playing and taking 40 or 50 million from the cap every year, I don't know what they can keep adding to that team. But I don't know, man. Listen, you don't let a generational guy go for basically nothing. Now, was it a dumb move in the sense that
he didn't shop him around?
You could have maybe shopped him around, but then again, I'm telling you, man, I know it's conspiracy theory, but all of a sudden you don't shop him around. You get hammered in the media. Everybody wants to kill you in Dallas, and then you get Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
Like, did somebody want to try to make sure LeBron got one more championship? So let's take care of LeBron. Now, I'll say this. No, I agree with you.
Okay, let me ask you this before you move on. Or was it that you needed a star that likes to score a lot so that they could keep a star in LA? Because without LeBron, what else they got? They ain't got nothing.
Nothing. Um, but if you look at this, listen, we had questions last summer. Should the Nuggets re-sign Jamal the mass contract or mass extension, or should they wait and let the season play out? I think there'd be some still saying they should have waited and let it play out, right?
What's this with Jamal?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you and I said it last year. Dude, listen, this whole, and I don't know if it drives you nuts, but it drives me nuts because half the time I'll ask guys that follow the league closely and I'll say, why not? Because I asked a bunch of people, why not wait on Jamal? And they would go, well, you can't insult him. You can't get him. Insults you. If I'm going to give you 200 now or 200 million later, you're going to be insulted by that? Come on, man. Come on.
So, but I'm just saying that was a fair conversations. And I think Jamal, as he played himself in shape, shows you. Listen, Jamal's a big key to this team next year. And I think one of the big reasons John Wallace gets hired because there's a relationship there. And, I asked you guys the other day in the crosstalk if Jamal comes back in the shape that he was at the end of the year, and now instead of starting the season 10 and 11, you start the season 15 and 6. Now all of a sudden you're talking about being the second seed at the end of the year instead of the fourth seed, and all the different stuff. Maybe you rest guys at the end because you don't have to do whatever. But that's hindsight. But going back to the Luka thing, if you're Nico Harrison and you got a guy making $40 million a year and he don't want to keep himself in shape, I'm not sure he's a great leader. I think he's one of those fun-loving guys. Let's go out and have fun and talk to the crowd and officials and get to the free throw line and then go drink some beers afterwards, and which was played well in the 80s, played great in the 80s. But if you're going to sit there and say, now you're talking about paying Jamal 45, 50, they're talking about that next contract for Luka is like around 70.
Yeah.
So do you want to pay that guy 70 that you're not so sure now he's got what it takes internally to win a championship for you, nor the seriousness, nor the full commitment? Are you going to bank $70 million on that guy?
Well, I was going to ask you because I think it's funny, and we'll get to Jay's comment here in a minute, but I thought it was funny, Scotty, because we all read the article about Russ and Russ wanting a $350 million guaranteed, and Greg Penner, got to tip my cap to Greg Penner going, do we really need to do this right now? He's got 2 years left on the deal. But of course, like we all said, you don't trade all the stuff. You're not going to give him the contract. But do you think there's a little bit of the new ownership that just gets done writing these billion-dollar checks the way both the Penners and the Dallas group did? Then all of a sudden you got a player up for a $350-400 million deal? I don't care how rich you are. That's got to hit you a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, and Mark Cuban wasn't in charge anymore either. And you got ownership in there going, listen.
Yeah, wait for one guy? I'm sure they went for one guy.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I mean, the market is what the market is now. But I think in another 6 or 7 years, and Luka's still Luka, doing good things, getting to the playoffs, losing games, making all-star teams, having fun, driving cool cars. Are you going to be happy? LA going to be happy with him just being okay and making $70 million?
No. That's a place that wins championships now. You think I'm wrong?
The best thing that could happen to them is LeBron retire.
Right. Quit taking the money. Maybe take his kid with him.
Get some money back into your coffers and then rebuild this sucker.
All right. Jay wants to know how many minutes you think the Nuggets starters will average next year.
Well, I think if everything plays out right, you'd like him probably between 32 and 34 at the max.
Okay. What were they at this year? 38, 36?
I thought they were a little higher this year, 36 to 38, somewhere in there, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, the key to that's going to be Strother, right? Strother's got to prove that. You and I were talking about it on the phone this morning, and I said to you, mean, wouldn't you like to see a world? Because you talked about how important Jamal is with Joker. And I think in order to maximize Jamal and Joker together, you got to have a guy that can come off the bench. I would love to see Jamal and Joker sit at the same time and not be don't flex them. Don't survive the non-Joker minutes without him. If Julian could become the guy that finds his own shot, then maybe at least, even if you're just a net zero, you know what I mean? Even if you're just not giving huge leads back, I'd take that right now. Don't make Joker come back in and do the work he just got done resting from.
Wasn't it at one time during the season they were like +8 when Joker's on the floor, like -14 when he was off? And that's a 22-point swing.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, again, somehow you got to get that dang thing down. Look, you give up some of a lead and 6-7, fine. But the Nuggets, we've known it for the last 2 years. Hell, even in the championship season, a little bit. You take the starters off the floor and they just give back with all the good work that you've done. Tommy believes in Strother, thinks he was coming to his own before the injury of the playoff game proved it.
Well,
so
but
I hope you're right.
Tommy, it's been 2 straight years Strother's missed over a month of the season with an injury.
Yeah.
So, and if you remember his rookie year, they went into Atlanta and he was fantastic. I think he had 20 something in that game, had like 4 steals, played great, and you end up beating Atlanta in Atlanta, and it was because of Julian Strother. And then the key with young guys, and Strother's like that too. I mean, he had a big game 6 and then disappeared in game 7. And young guys have got to get past that. I mean, I've told you a story before. Huey Brown always said, give me a guy that I know every night's going to give me X, Y, Z, not X, X, B, B, G. I want X, Y, Z every night. Not, he wants that consistency. And that's what young guys have got to do and learn to do. And that's Strother next year. Strother can't be giving you 20 on Tuesday and 6 on Friday.
Right.
And I mean, and let's be honest, that's the frustrating thing with Murray. Murray's giving you 27, going 12 of 16 one game, and the next night he gets you 21, but he's 5 of 23.
Right. Well, and you've even mentioned it with MPJ too, where it's 14 in one half and 2 in the next. Right. If you get all these guys, if you could get Murray, if you could get Murray, MPJ, and Strother to all be more consistent, then guess what? You didn't need to make any moves. The problem becomes, what do you think? Who's going to improve under Adelman and his new? Now we don't even know what the new staff is, right? Have I missed it? He's not announced his new assistant yet, right?
No, because you still got. I mean, you got all the. Now, I think you'll probably start hearing something the next week or so. Free agency starts on the 30th at midnight.
Okay. So that's Monday.
They can do all the proposed trades and stuff right now. But they can't be official, I don't think, till July 1st at 12:01. Maybe you'll see more and more, but you got a whole team in New York. New York doesn't have a head coach yet.
So
the draft, and I haven't seen the Knicks. Does the Knicks maybe didn't have a pick today either? But you're going to this draft without a head coach.
No, you're right. And the Clippers, I think, are closing out round 1 here at 30. So let me ask you this, because I asked you on the show about Zeke Naji. So I'm not going to ask you about Naji, but I'm going to put it to you this way. With a new coaching staff and a new set of eyes. And, look, man, even in my own radio career, I think I got better on radio when I came here and I got a new way of looking at things and I got new coaching from somebody else or whatever, right? What players could benefit the most from the new staff and maybe a fresh look at them? You know what I mean? The old thoughts out of there.
Jalen Pickett, Zeke Naji, probably even Julian Strother to an extent. Yeah, probably them.
Okay.
Maybe a Spencer Jones. PJ might. You
don't sound too fired up. You
Well,
don't have me too excited about it.
listen, I think when you get a guy, listen, you have a different relationship with an assistant coach than you do a head coach.
Right.
You have personal. You have, to be honest with you, you have more of a personal relationship. And guys, usually assistant coaches will work more closely with head coaches. The guy that got the head coach at San Antonio, he was the workout coach for Wembanyama, and then got named the interim coach when the stroke happened and everything. And he still came out and warmed up Wembanyama. That because that's what he did. It'll be interesting to see if he does that next year. But it's a different relationship as assistant coach. Same with football too. We were talking the other day, and Tyler talked about you got a problem. Are you going to go to the GM's office? He goes, the only 2 times I ever saw the GM's office when I got cut.
Yeah.
And I think I was in one GM office in my 11 years in the NBA. I was in Stan Cass's office. The GM of the Atlanta Hawks was the only office I was in, and he was playing a prank on me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but the position coaches, if you had a father figure or a big brother figure in football, it's your position coach. He's not even running the offensive coordinator if Tyler had an issue.
Right. Right.
And so the assistant coaches are the guys that really work you out and do things. They're with you in the gym, more than the head coach for sure. So yeah, I think getting kind of a clean slate, but then I get my old guy bias, prejudice. I'm still not sure if guys can play.
Right.
Oh, you mentioned names, but I'm like, man, I don't listen. Betty Boop could be the coach, and I don't know if that would help.
Wow. All right. I like Betty Boop, huh? You're gonna go old school. I mean, that's old school.
I mean, who? I mean, and Christy, what free agent? I don't know. I was thinking about this today, and I didn't get a chance to bring it up on the radio show. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. You're going to lose DeAndre Jordan. Looks like you're going to lose Russ. Those are 2 veteran voices, and I think this team's always like to have, with Jeff Green when they won a championship, a veteran guy in there. So I would look on the wires. Is there a guy that's, from year 8 to 12 that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, that wants to hang around and be a good teammate, maybe get a chance to play for a ring. And I haven't even looked at the free agent list yet, to be honest with you.
Well,
but I would look at those names right there, at least they're going to have, you have right now at least 3 spots. And here's why I said yesterday or today with us in the crossover, why I think that something will be done, because I think that one of those guys we've been talking about that are on the end of the bench may get moved for a 2nd round pick. I think that could happen. But right now you've got 3 open roster spots, probably for sure. Chanchar won't be back. DJ won't be back. Russ is not going to be back. If you can get a friendly buyout or whatever you can do with Saric, you're hoping he doesn't come back. So there's 4 guys. And
okay.
If Saric does come back, it might be better that David's the coach now instead of Malone anyway. Maybe another guy that might get a second chance.
Okay. Well, I would look. I just want guys on the bench willing to damn play. You know what I mean? That's the problem. There's too many guys on the bench feel like they got no hope getting in the game last year.
Who's a free agent? I believe the free agent who I'd like to see them try to get, Steven Adams.
Okay. Well, yeah, you've talked about that before. I know you've talked a lot about that before. Do you think there's a chance though? They got basically their highest offer from what I understand, and it could be wrong, but as I understand it, the most money they can offer to anybody is at 5.9 or 5.8 mid-level exception.
Yeah, and I think you're around the number. I thought it was 6.8, but it might be.
I'm going off what Ryan Blackburn told us, so I'm not sure about anything. So
yeah, it's somewhere in that area. Yeah, 5-6 million.
Well, is that enough to get Steven Adams to come in?
Probably not, but I don't know. he may want to play with Joker. He might. I'm happy being a second fiddle guy, and I'll just come in there. You could get Bobon for that.
Yeah, and Damey's right. He's already off the table. He got 3 years with Houston.
Oh, they signed him?
They did sign him. So
when did they sign him?
It was like last week. I remember seeing it. So
that would have been one of my guys I would have liked to see them bring in there. But another guy, and that's why Houston probably wants him. He's a great team guy, and you could either play him or not play him, and he's not going to cause trouble in the locker room. And yet, when he's on the floor, you've got to account for it.
Right.
League 10 years. Big, strong offensive rebound, and Jesse.
So Mike here wants to know, does the new coach call a lot of plays and sets? Is he like Malone, or does he run more open offense? Do you know much about Adelman yet? Adelman made it sound like in his presser that he wanted to be able to run more efficiently in the half court, maybe not run quite as much.
Well, I think he wants to keep it simple, stupid. I think, why are we worried about teaching him this move to this counter, this. In fact, he said it when we interviewed him after he got hired. He said, dude, get a move and knock it down. Get a move down. And maybe get a counter off that one move. And then work on that. You don't need 27 moves that you never use in a game. Come on now. So I think it'll be simple. I think they just want to play. I think they do want to be more efficient in the half court. So that is big for them.
All right, so the second round is tomorrow, by the way. First round's up, second round is tomorrow, and so we'll do it all again tomorrow as far as the NBA draft goes, as they extend it out to 2 nights. Although now that I look at it being 9:35, probably a good call. I know the second round moves quicker than the first, but not a bad call if you're going to do it this way.
I tell you what, at one time I thought, well, gosh, this is a lot faster than the NFL's first round draft, because I don't think they give them quite as many minutes in between. But then again, like you said, it's 9:30. Start at 6. Come on now,
dude. 3.5 hours. Well, they're interviewing everyone's mama. Well, I think I saw about 9 moms interviewed after the player.
Well, at least that many.
So, anyway, Dodgers up 3-1. They just got the game going. I guess a big old storm erupted downtown. I thought, I don't know about you. I didn't have anything out here where we are.
Oh, we've been having tons of warnings all over the TV.
Really? Yeah. Well, I know it got crazy out east and north. All right, I got to ask you a question. Let's get one Bronco thing in here because we kind of discussed this, and then we'll say goodnight here in fairly short order. So Pro Football Focus, PFF, everyone's favorite, analytics site, came out with a list of the best returning coaches, the best veteran coaches. And they listed Sean Payton at number 2 behind Andy Reid. Would you put Sean Payton as the second best veteran coach in the league?
Do they have a stipulation on what?
No, that was what sucked. There's no stipulation. It was Andy Reid. It was Sean Payton. I can go get you the whole list if you'd like it. Nick Sirianni was all the way down at 9th. And I remember they about wanted to fire Nick Sirianni at one point. So I was a little surprised.
Then you get an unbelievable running game going, and all of a sudden he's a genius again.
Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Sean McVay, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh, Kyle Shanahan, Nick Sirianni, Dan Campbell, Stefanski. So I was wrong. Sirianni, I can't believe Campbell's that far down too, frankly. I'd have had Campbell top 5.
Well, but of all those guys, the first 3 have got championships, don't they?
Yeah, but, I mean, McVay and Reid do with their current team. Sean Payton doesn't. Look, I don't mind Sean Payton being in the top 10 or even the top 5. He got a lot out of a team last year that none of us, including myself, expected a lot out of. Vegas, we were at Circa Resort last year when they were doing their big football contest, and they had the Broncos at 5.5. And the more I was like, come on, you guys, Sean Payton's always won 8 or 9 games or whatever the number was in his coaching career. He always wins that much. You guys don't trust that? They were laughing at us. There's no way. One guy I remember going, we should have put it at 5. You're lucky you got the 5.5. I mean, they were mocking it. They were mocking CU, and they were mocking the Broncos all over Vegas. And these are guys that set the lines. I'm not talking, random Joe whatever hanging out at the sports book. So, yeah, I give Sean Payton his flowers for getting a hell of a lot more out of a team with a rookie quarterback than I expected. But still, he's in some pretty tall cotton there.
Well, they didn't think the defense would be as good as it was. You had the third leading sack guy in the league was on your team. You got the defensive player of the year on your team. So I think that defense kept them in. If you're being real honest, and that's why there's, what's the old saying? There's lies, there's damn lies,
damn lies, and statistics.
They win 10 teams and get to the playoffs, and they had more 3-and-outs than any other team in the NFL. Well, guess what? Those teams usually lose. So the way you're not losing is you're going 3 out, and guess what? The defense is getting off the field too.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I think that's the biggest surprise. And listen, I think they got to be better offensively. If they're not any better offensively next year, then I think it'll be hard to repeat the 10 wins.
Fair enough. I would agree. But I also think I'm feeling like they're going to be. Now, listen, I'm going off mini camp, and they weren't in pads, but I liked what I saw. I give Peyton credit for this, man. He knows what he wants to do with guys, and I don't have to tell you. You were a player when a coach knows exactly the role he wants. Because look, I'll tell you, I don't think I'm going to get in trouble for saying it. It's no secret. They put Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant was getting the big wide out, who's not the fastest guy once you get beyond 10 or 15, 20 yards, whatever it is. But I'll tell you what that dude does. He wins quick, and he's a big receiver. So he's got quick twitch that you can't get the hands on him. And even if you do, he's probably more physical than your corner. So he's getting the hell open. And they schemed him open a couple of times. Now, again, maybe the pads go on and this all stops. But I saw some stuff in the drills where every guy, you kind of knew what Sean was going to use him for.
Is he a younger, big Tim Patrick type?
Yeah, I would say that. I'd like to. He jumped up and caught a ball with his hands. He had a DB right in his kitchen. Didn't prevent him from making a catch in the back of the end zone and sticking the feet down. He had another one where he went off the line of scrimmage and came right over the middle. And again, they'd cleared out the middle in the play, and but because he won quick, it was an easy read for Bo Nix, man. Bo didn't have to do a lot of thinking. There's my why, and it was an easy right in the middle of the thing throw. So I think, you know what? I think RJ Harvey, they know exactly what they want to do with them. Evan Ingram, I'm shocked that he's not as big as I expected, but I think again, I'll bring you this topic too, because Nate and I were going to talk about this. We haven't gotten to it yet. But I watched, so Saturday, I'm home. My son had his wisdom teeth out. My girls were out. So I was just kind of chilling with Hayden, making sure he didn't need anything, right?
You get the stoned Hayden after the surgery?
No, you know what? He was gone, but he wasn't funny. We didn't get any funny. He did talk a lot, but he always talks a lot because he's my kid. But nothing, I don't have any real funny stories to tell. He went to bed, woke up, and he's kind of been like a champ ever since. But anyway, I'm flipping around trying to find something to watch Saturday. I couldn't find anything. And I flipped to NFL Network, and it was the 2014 Bronco game against the Colts, the opener. The opener after the Super Bowl year they got whooped by Seattle. And Scotty, like, again, I bring it up because Evan Ingram, if he could just be like Julius Thomas, can't block a lick, but a guy they can't cover. I mean, Julius Thomas just was eating up the Colts that day. What I bring you to this is there a team? Is it the Nuggets championship team? Is it your old Pistons team? Is there another favorite team of yours? I watched that whole game and still was entertained. So I asked Nate, what team, what season could you watch any game from and you'd be happy with? Any team, any sport, but you'd have to watch the whole season. What would it be? Because I'll be honest with you, dude, that 2014 team was a lot more fun than I remember.
No, that they were good.
I'd watch the 2013 season again too. I'd have to relive the butt kicking in the Super Bowl, but that was a damn fun offensive season.
I'd watch 2013 again, except if I have to watch the Super Bowl too. So then that might be out.
Nope, you got to do it.
I wouldn't mind watching the 2015 season all over again because of this. You know you're going to win the Super Bowl.
Fair enough.
Fantastic.
Takes the stress out of it.
But I want to see. I want to go back and relive how the hell did they win some of those games they won during the regular season? How did they really beat Cleveland? How did they come back and beat Kansas City? You know what? How lucky did they get in that Detroit game? I mean, there's those are three games I can remember. You're like, they're losing those games, and they end up winning all three of them.
Because I said it all the time, because again, I was lucky enough to live it. In Cleveland, they won because the defense, after a turnover, the defense had 3 straight plays for loss, 2 of them sacks. It was unreal. Literally pushed Cleveland out of field goal range. And then look, man, Manning was not great that season, but I've said it to you 1,000 times. Manning was clutch. When nut cutting time came, he made a play. And Emmanuel made a play. DT made a play. CJ Anderson made a run. They just made plays. Dude, it's the most clutch offense we've seen in a long time. They weren't necessarily good, but they were clutch. They got to play every time they needed it, or a first down, or whatever they needed.
Was it David Bruton in that Detroit game? They're kind of moving. We can't stop Johnson, right? That's when he's still playing that big giant.
Calvin Johnson.
And I thought it was Bruton or somebody got a hand on a deflection, big interception late. And sure enough, Payton drives down there and gets a score on it. But I'd like to go watch that game that season again a year, because man, they had a whole lot of could have been losses.
Hey, remember the Cincinnati game that Brock Osweiler's playing, and they find a way to get it tied, then they get it to overtime. Osweiler made a hell of a throw to Owen Daniel. I mean, it was the best throw I've seen of Osweiler's career. Over a linebacker, under a safety, boom, right there, gets the game tied. And that might have been in overtime for the game-winning field goal. But I'm just telling you, what about the Nuggets? It's the championship year, right? Because that was both fun and their best season.
Well, no, because they won more games the next year. But it was a good season. They won 54.
What about any of the Dikembe era?
No, because even the year that 8 beats 1, remember I think they were like 43 or 42 and 40 or 43 and 39. They were barely over 500, so it wasn't one of these crazy, stupid, seasons. Probably the championship year, and especially I'd like to watch every game of the playoffs, because I don't think we realize or remember how freaking diabolically good they were in that playoff run.
Dude, they were 16 and 4?
Yeah.
Same with the Avs. That's what was crazy. All right, now go to the Avs. There's 3 cup teams you could pick from the Avs. If you wanted a championship.
The first championship year, just to see some of the old guys. See the Sakic and Forsberg, and was Hayduk still on the team?
No, Hayduk wasn't there yet. Hayduk, Drury, Tanguay all came for the second one. It was guys like Mike Ricci and Andrei Kovalenko, I think it was. Yeah. Or no, Valery Kaminsky. Remember him?
Yeah.
Did the little spin around and, Gusarov.
I'd like to go back and watch that year again.
Yui Krupp. You know what? It'd be fun to watch that year again, Scotty, because we'd know what we were looking at. You know what I mean? You and I talked about it on the show we did on the Scramble last week, but I still feel like I love that the Avs got the cup. I love all their cups. Why wouldn't you? And yet I don't really feel like you hadn't bled for anything. We hadn't suffered with the Avs. So it was awesome to win it, and yet it was kind of weird. Because, again, as a kid growing up in Denver, I wanted Elway to get the first championship in town. You know what I mean? Mainly because the Nuggets never really truly had a shot.
Well, not to say, on the same subject, go back to the 98, the second Super Bowl year. Because didn't they start the year off winning the first 13 games?
Yeah, you called it, brother.
Yeah.
You were there. And the win against Kansas City was insane.
Had a shot in with the Giants. And somebody made a great catch to take the lead, and then you knew once they lost that one, they got blown out the next week in Miami. But that the streak was over. Then they won their last game, and then boom, they just went through the playoffs.
Greg says Kaminsky scored the first Avs goal ever. There's a great trivia fact. And then our guy here, Wyotrap, says he'd watch 2000, or she would watch 2000. I'm assuming but they would watch 2009 if they could skip the Anthony Carter play. You got to watch it all, man. Got to watch it all. That's the trick to the game.
2009 should have been an NBA championship year for the Nuggets.
Dude, Chauncey was so much fun to watch. I'd still watch some of those mellow AI games. I know it wasn't successful, man. Allen Iverson was a lot of fun for me in a Nuggets uniform. That just was he still was sweet. How about the Rockies? Is it because to me, everybody would go 07, but you got to remember 07 was like a month and a half of good baseball. Dude, 1998 when Walker won MVP was a hell of a lot of fun with the Bombers in full swing. 2009 when they lost to Philly was actually when Jim Tracy took over for Hurdle, and then all they did was like win the rest of the summer. And then unfortunately it just blew up in their face against the Phillies in the wild card round. But dude, 2009 was a ton of fun for them.
I would say this, if you're looking back compared to the other teams, they have never had a year where you want to go back and watch it.
Okay.
I mean, the October Bash or whatever they called the run.
Rocktober.
Yeah, watch that month. I mean, that place, the town was crazy. I mean, that was crazy that month. And then listen, until they had to face Boston World Series, they had a run. They were on a run in the playoffs too. Too good of a run, really, because I think that 9 days off killed them.
Oh, Jason Hirsch still in his soul says they win the series if they don't take that much time off. And they might have, man. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. Anything they needed, they got.
Yep.
You want to talk about a team on all right, for the Broncos, would you go back and watch 2011 Tebow season again? That culminated with Demaryius Thomas running down the field to beat Pittsburgh in the wild card game. Now you still got to watch that dog butt New England game, but
yeah. No, I think I'm going to go 98 Broncos.
Boy, the 98 Broncos are so fun, man. So fun. John Elway. I every now and again some John Elway highlights pop up, dude. John Elway we forget how damn good John was. That arm was special. He's dodging and ducking guys and throwing it downfield on a dime. You know what else was pretty fun? I saw this the other day and I thought of you because I think, were you the guy that created Raider Hater? I know you created the shirts.
Yeah.
But the last Monday night game, someone put up, My Line Memories, I think, is one of the great Twitter handles that does it sometimes, threw up the last Monday night game at Mile High where Greasy got his shoulder hurt, but he still was just dealing, dude. Just dealing. Dude, Greasy was pretty good. Greasy was pretty good, man. I know he wasn't John or Payton or any of those guys, but
he had a good year that year.
Yeah, man. Well, and then he jacked his shoulder up and it took some off his deep ball, Greasy wasn't terrible, though. I feel like people remember Brian Greasy being terrible. He was a good quarterback. He wasn't a great quarterback. Guy made it in the league plenty long after he left here.
Was he Bo Nix?
I think Bo Nix could be him, and people get upset when I say that. Dude, Brian Greasy was a Pro Bowler. Not everybody gets to be top 5 of their era, man. And frankly, not everybody needs the top 5 guy of their era to win a Super Bowl. We'll see. Well, you got it. What you got the old Cheshire Cat grin? What are you thinking? Share your thoughts.
You're right. I like Brian. I still like Brian. And I got to talk to him all the time and interview him all the time. He was great. I agree with you. I remember Stink was still playing then. And said when Greasy got, basically dislocated his shoulder bone or broke it or whatever, and he stayed in the game and played, and he said, I knew he was hurt and he gutted it out. He always talked proper, gave him props on that from that Raider game.
Oh, the old days, my man. I'm with you, though. 2013 would be fun to watch. 2015 would be fun to watch. But for those that missed the 1998 season, Denver was a damn wagon. Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis, Howard Griffith,
Rod Smith.
Ed and Rod. Yeah. Atwater, Alfred, Romo. Whatever you think of Romo now, Romo was a badass for them then. Darian Gordon. Oh, they were a fun team. God, they were a fun team, man. You never worried about getting some offense when you showed up to the stadium that day.
Steve Atwater's still on that team.
Yeah, because in the first Super Bowl, well, in the second Super Bowl, he didn't have to hit anybody because Atlanta wasn't good enough. In the first Super Bowl, I remember talking to him about knocking everybody out. Steve points out to me, you know how many times Steve probably would have had to leave a game because of concussion protocols? You know how lucky he is he didn't play in this era?
They'd have taken him out when he hit Okoye, even though it didn't look like it did anything to him.
No, you're right. They'd had at least go and make sure that everybody was okay. So, all right, my man, we're going to wrap it up from there. A lot of people here tonight. Thank you, the OA Cross. That's right. Good to see T-Bones with us tonight. I think we're going to try to do one, although you're heading to Oklahoma next week. So
they got Wi-Fi.
All right. We may try to do one next week. I'm going to be heading out of town here middle of July. We may take a little summer break, but we'll see how it goes. Look, if there's news, we'll do one. Avs and Nuggets both get their off-season, free agents and all that stuff going next week. So hopefully there'll be some stuff to talk about. All right, Avs are going to have to trade somebody. They got to get some cap room.
Let's do a tease. Will we see by next Wednesday, will there be a new Nugget?
Yeah, I think someone will take the mid-level exception, won't they? Or do they play this game like they did with Russ?
By next Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't know then. What do you think? What are you betting? You're betting yes from what you told me earlier.
I'm betting yes. There will be movement before next Wednesday.
Are you including a draft pick?
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Say goodnight, sweetheart.
Good night, sweetheart.